Hello, everybody. It's the Pearlo Wisdom Show. NHL Pearlo Wisdom Show, that is. And we are live. All right, I got lots to talk about today. It seems like there's not a lot of people jumping in right away, but just did a video. I'm a little concerned. I am a little concerned about which way the NHL is going here. I don't know. People might not agree with me, but I'm confused. That game was atrocious. Now, I know you got bad refs. Refs make mistakes, all of those sort of things like that. But it seems to me too much that they're evening up things with the Coyotes on that day, to say the least. I also, there was 3 or 4 calls that weren't just bad; they were absolutely atrocious, atrocious. And the commentators were diplomatic in their talk about it, but the timing of them. Hey, Oilers man, how you doing? Well, Oilers man, we're gonna watch something when the Oilers play Arizona next, because I think that there's something fishy going on in the NHL with this franchise right now. I think they're evening up the playing field with penalties for them, and you'll never hear me say something like that. Like, I've never, if you watch me on a regular basis, I don't constantly slag the refs. In fact, I probably more lean on their side than anything. But this time, no. That game against LA was, and the weird thing about it was, normally when calls like that happen, the bench would be losing their mind. This is the thing that confuses me about all of it. There was brutal calls. Brutal. They aren't. There's no way. The first 2 games, okay, I thought, you know what, that's a little bit of bad reffing. Maybe even subconsciously feeling sorry for Arizona and putting things their way. But it did have my antenna up a little bit. But last night against LA, no way, man. But there's something more worrisome to me than the fact that they did what they did, which I believe they did. And that was even up the playing field for them to have an opportunity to win. What even is more concerning to me is that the LA Kings players and McClellan seemed to be quite aware that that was going to happen. They were not mad about it, like, anywhere near as much as they should be. Those calls were outrageous last night, man. And the last 3 times that teams have played them, like, it was St. Louis, Seattle, St. Louis, and Seattle was a little different. It didn't really creep up until the 3rd. But St. Louis looked like they were playing on eggshells, and so did LA last night. Those teams were playing as if they were avoiding contact. It's like they knew that they were going to have calls go against them, that they had to win that game, and they had to make sure they weren't even close to a penalty, because there was going to be calls going against them as soon as they could. The one on Lemieux, you guys check out the highlights. Here's the next part. In the highlight video, the highlights, they only showed one of the bad calls, which was when Lemieux got a pass, was on a semi-breakaway, and the defenseman literally tripped him about as much as you could trip anyone, and they didn't call it at all. Well, I think the NHL is calling itself on it. I think it's okay, here's my theory. Tell me I'm wrong. This is the first year you have MGM resorts, which are casinos. You have what's the name of it? I'll just wait, I'll find it here. I had it here. Shoot, where did I put it? Anyways, MGM Resorts, there was other basically two casino companies. There's 3 casino companies, first time ever sponsored by the NHL. First time the NHL has ever been sponsored specifically by casino companies. Casinos and betting, gambling facilities. So you got an Arizona team that is basically, bookies are losing their shirts, okay? You bet against them, you're going to win pretty much all the time. You don't think that these sponsors that are ponying up huge cash to the very things that they are betting on, I don't even know if it should be legal that a gambling company should be partnered with the very thing that they're gambling on. Right? Like, what? If we just went through this whole thing about Evander Kane gambling on the game that he plays, should a gambling casino and all of that be able to sponsor the sport that they're doing gambling for? It only takes a phone call to say, you got to do something about this Arizona team. We're losing our shirts on this, guys. They're not good enough. Either you got to tell the ownership to get some players in there that they're competitive, or call the referees, or whatever you got to do. Because we can't have this. We're not going to sponsor you if you're going to lose this money. You see? Conflict of interest, all the heck. And this is the first time I have honestly really sat there and said that this could be happening right now. That they are fixing games. It may have happened. They might have been really good at it before, but this was not really good at it. This was terrible at it. And Lemieux, the guy that was happening to, his reaction through the whole, Lemieux is a fiery dude, man. He's not a guy that kind of just laughs stuff off. He was literally laughing his calls off all game. He had like 2 or 3 calls that were ridiculous. And he was laughing them off the whole time. Like laughing at the situation, as if to say, I know what you're doing and we can't do anything about it. And that's just the way it is. And McClellan was just like, yeah, we know this is going to happen, so we got to win the game anyways. That's it. He didn't even mention it in the post game. Like, are you kidding me? These were egregious calls. Absolutely insanely terrible calls. The diving call in the 3rd period had to be one of the worst calls I have ever seen in professional sports. It was that bad. And you hear nothing about it today. Nothing. Lauren, you can talk about this because Lauren has been saying all the time that Gary Bettman has been protecting Arizona all the way up until now. Well, Lauren, the league is protecting, I believe, is protecting the Coyotes now. After what I saw last night and the couple games before this, I now believe that the league isn't protecting Arizona as much as they are protecting the sponsors that they have now through casinos and gambling that are losing their shirts on the Coyotes. I believe it now. No doubt about it in my mind. Those calls last night were egregious and you hear nothing about them today. Not a thing. Tell me what you guys think out there. Tell me. I've been spewing off like crazy. People are leaving probably. People are not wanting to listen right now. Tell me what you think. Do you agree? Tell me if you think I'm wrong, if I'm just crazy. That's right. What? John from Hot Take Hockey said JT Miller for Schultz, Kempny, and Hagelin. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Benning would do that. But by gosh, that's a horrible trade. I guess just to get rid of all the cap space, that's it. I don't know what that would be for. Okay, so to get the picks. So they take a bunch of scrubs to get first and second round picks, which basically says they're still in the middle of their rebuild, I suppose. I think it's gambling, dude. I think it's gambling, because I never saw anything like this before. Not like that. This is the first year that they've had casinos and gambling running their. You look at football, all of these other ones. You know why I don't watch them? I don't watch them because that's what's happening there. I watch hockey because I love it, and now I'll tell you what, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of the game I love today after what I saw last night. Yeah, I don't even think it's about that, Lauren. Did you watch that game last night, Lauren? Miller and Tyler Myers for Kempny, Schultz, Kempny, Hagelin. Yeah, I know, I saw, yeah. I don't know. I suppose, I guess. I don't know where they're going with that. A late first-round pick in a poor draft to get rid of those contracts, I guess. Does that actually even up the deal? Schultz, Kempny, and Hagelin, I guess? I mean, I could sort of see it, and then they can rebuy and try again. It makes some sense, I guess. Okay, I'd like to tell you, Lauren, to watch the highlights of last night. Bad reffing is not the word here. It was absolutely horrendous reffing. Horrendous. All against LA. Every single one of them was against LA. They did call something on Arizona for holding first. And then after that, when the Coyotes were able to stay in it because LA was holding their sticks tight and playing like St. Louis did, like they were playing in on eggshells. Both St. Louis and LA were playing like they knew that they had to stay away from anything that looked like a penalty. It's like they knew what was going on. And they know that the way that the league is going to, you don't have to go, there's several reasons why this could happen, okay? I think all of them work here. I think it could heavily be because of their sponsors saying, we can't have a team this bad, you got to do something about it. Like casinos and gambling company, they're going to lose their shirts, man. Bookies will lose their shirts on Arizona. Totally. There's that. Also, the fact that they want that to be in there. They want Arizona to stay in Arizona because they need that market. I think combination of the both. Now, if you don't think that the NHL is willing to do something like this, all you got to do is look at the clutch and grab era of the last the 90s. That's exact. They told the refs, don't call clutching and grabbing so we can protect the Anaheims, the San Jose's, Ottawas, and all of those things like that. I'm an Oilers fan, Oilers man, and this was we haven't seen nothing like that. I'm an Oilers fan, and no, I'm sorry. This was more than bad reffing. I'm convinced of it. The dive call in the third period, which you cannot find in any replay, NHL-sponsored game review anywhere. You cannot find it. It is probably worse than the one that they did show. They showed the Lemieux trip when he was on and it was obviously a trip. That was super bad, no doubt about that. But the even up diving call had to be one of the worst calls I have seen in my lifetime. And you see nothing of it in any review anywhere. Why? Those things, when you have bad calls like that, if you watch Sportsnet or whatever, they show it a million times. All the time. It wasn't even shown. Not one time. Somebody is telling these guys, don't show this and don't show that, don't show that, don't show that. That was a canned game. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Yeah, did LA didn't do themselves any favors. They were holding their stick tight, no doubt about it. But I think a lot of that has to do, I'm convinced now that these teams know that it's going on. And it makes it very difficult to play when you know you got to watch your P's and Q's because you're going to get all the calls against you. But that was a canned game. I believe the refs made even that up for the Coyotes to win that game. I think Bettman's doing his job, but he's doing what he's told. Do you think Bettman isn't doing what he's told? I don't know if you guys know this, but sponsors have a lot of power, and Bettman doesn't pick who the sponsors are. That's above him even. He's not the top of the NHL. He's a hired hand. There's things that have to be done a certain way, and he has to do what he's told. I don't know, the draft, I mean, I'm willing to look at anything. After what I saw last night, I'm not sure anymore about this game. I'm not sure. I'm going to continue watching this as we go on because this Coyotes team isn't getting, I mean, they're gelling together a little bit better. But the Oilers-Coyotes game, there is absolutely no way the Oilers should lose to that. No way. 99.9% chance of winning that game. If you start seeing call after call after call after call going against the Oilers, if it happens to be close early, just keep on watching it. See, tell me if I'm right. Doug Masta, how you doing, man? We're talking about what I did. I did a video on it too. You guys can watch it, but I believe that game is rigged. I do believe that game was rigged last night. I don't think. I think. I don't know, Gary. What do you need a new commissioner for? Gary Bettman, when he started, this game was nothing. Now it just got the largest TV contract it's ever got in its existence. I don't think they're getting rid of Gary Bettman anytime soon. At a time when basically the owners decided they wanted money instead of quality, he told the refs to clutch and grab and keep these teams in it. And I think he's doing it with Arizona here as well, but for different reasons. The clutch and grab era saved franchises. We wouldn't have Anaheim, we wouldn't have San Jose if they didn't do a clutch and grab era, because those teams were absolutely abysmal. We didn't have the talent at the time to fill those rosters. And those teams were absolutely abysmal. They never would have survived. So I know they will able to do it, but this is for different reasons. I don't think this is just to save the Arizona franchise. I don't. I don't remember them ever covering up calls like this. This was an absolute cover-up. There were those calls last night, the interference calls that they called were either really bad to absolutely egregious. And the diving call was, like I said, one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life in any sport. And you don't see it anywhere on TV today or on YouTube or anywhere that's sponsored by an NHL. I don't know if maybe some unsponsored NHL has put it out there, but any YouTube site sponsored by NHL, it's not out there at all. It is, the diving call is one of the worst calls I've ever seen, CL. I'm not kidding. And you don't see it anywhere. The one on Lemieux was like, the referee was right there. Like anybody in the arena, wherever you were sitting, the announcers, I listened to both announcers on both sides, the home team announcers and the away teams, because I have center ice package. And I turned it over to the home team announcers, and they were like stumbling over their words. They didn't know what to say. Well, it looks like we maybe got away with one there. No, there was nothing embellished about it. He tripped him full on, man. Full on. The embellishment on the diving one, there's no way that's a dive. Not a million years that's a dive. And even if you, like, there's no way that's a dive. There's just no way. Yeah, I think the Sabres will pooch out over time. I think they'll eventually pooch out, but they're playing what they're playing. The Sabres show you what they can be if you play as a team, and so is Arizona too. I don't want to take totally everything away from Arizona here. They're playing much better as a team. Their passes are crisp. All of those sort of things like that. There no doubt about it. They are playing much better as a team, but they don't have enough scoring in that lineup to win more than 10 games in a season, maybe 12, stuff like that, unless you really skew the odds in their favor. And I believe that's exactly what's happening. But Buffalo, they're playing hard, man. You are going to have to beat Buffalo. They're not beating themselves. They're sticking in games. They don't give up. Great coaching there in Buffalo, no doubt about it. The game against Columbus tonight, I'm on the fence about. And they're doing this without really a great goaltender. One great goaltending performance by Tokarski against Pittsburgh. But besides that, it's been fairly average to less than average. They still can't. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough for Florida there. I mean, they can't be any better than they are. They're going to have to put a couple years, probably a year, maybe two, of, making it to the finals or, going very deep into the playoffs to really start building a fan base there, I'm pretty sure. Because there's so much college. They got college basketball, football, baseball, like everything is in Florida, man. They are in a highly competitive market there, and it's not a hockey. It's not a traditional hockey market. So man, it's going to be a chore to get people into those seats. Apparently, it's something to do with the arena there where it is too. Yeah, well, I mean, Lauren, yeah, look like they care. I think that the players have an advantage. If there's one advantage that they have in Arizona is that, they got nothing to lose. Nobody expects them to win, right? So that helps. That can get you a game or a game, maybe even 3 games. But man, oh man, oh man, I mean, you guys know, I don't sit here and bitch about referees. Ever. I don't like other we have other fine members that come on here and talk about the referees and all that kind of stuff like that. And I'm usually supportive of the referees. I still don't believe like what I saw last night, and I still believe what it made me feel like kind of empty in my empty inside. I love this game deeply, and I just really turns my stomach to see this game go something like that. I'd be, yeah, wouldn't be good. I'd be out pretty fast. I see more stuff like that, and I see it more happening like that. I'm out of here. I'm not watching that nonsense. I don't watch other sports for reasons such as that, and I'm not going to keep on watching it if that's the way it's going to be. It's not a sport anymore. No, like I said, I usually don't badmouth the refs. If you come on here, Oilers man, and you can ask Lauren and these guys, I never do. Never do. I never blame the refs, ever. But I don't even think this is about the refs, but we'll continue on with whatever you guys want to talk about now. Yeah, it'll be worth it down the road for them, no doubt. Well, they were going to loosen up after. They got to find their happy medium with the cross-checking calls. I can get that. You got to find where that is there. You're changing everything there. I can get that. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. But okay, well, we got a lot of games to go through. So we obviously talked a lot about that game. So I'm going to bring you guys up on here and we'll go through our games from last night. Or from the weekend, I guess. Talk about some things that happened. Well, listen to this. I got somebody, a lady commented on my video before I go on here. Been watching hockey a long time. It's an old lady. Watched the Kings Yotes game last night too. Stinky calls. I agree with you. Shakes me. I am sad to see NHL sliding down this road. I hope they can come to their senses and bring it back in. It's heartbreaking. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is heartbreaking. I'm sorry I wasted your guys' time with this. But you're going to watch and you're going to see. I know it's hard to take. You hear it and go, I don't want to talk about it. And I totally get you. I don't want to talk about it either because I don't want it to be true. If it's true, I hope I'm wrong. I freaking hope I'm wrong. Okay, let's go. Get to the games on the weekend. Okay, let's bring up the live chat. And another hockey trade. John proposed is Brock Besser and Luke Shen for DeBrusk, Studnicka. That would be a shame. That would be a shame for Vancouver to make a deal like that. I get it, and I have like mad respect for John from Hot Take Hockey. I was on a stream last night. I get what he's saying because Studnicka is probably a third-round centerman in long term. DeBrusk, you might be able to turn him around, and you get a first-round pick, and they're struggling right now. They wouldn't be struggling after that trade. But that's that's an asset going out, and very likely not much assets coming back. Just because they have no leverage, because they can't sign Besser because he doesn't want to be there. That's the only reason why you make that deal. I would have to have a caveat to that if he signs in Boston, there's more to it than that. But it probably, like right now, they have no leverage with Besser, because if they're trading him, it means he doesn't want to be there. So, like, GMs are going to be like, well, we're not going to, we know you got to trade him, so we're not going to give you the world for him. Because if they could sign him, they wouldn't be trading him, right? I would take Boston's first, but after they get Besser, there's no way that's going to be a bottom pick. You don't need to worry about it. You put Besser with Coyle and Hall, and that's plenty good enough to get them in well into the playoffs there. So, and then if they can re-sign him, that's a good young forward, so they can maybe be able to do this do a retool that general managers have been always trying to do. Because you got another good young winger to play there if you can re-sign him. I would have a caveat that I have a feeling there would be more of an offer for Besser than that out there. If I were to look at it, because like some teams, I was going to go look at the games last night, but you brought up a really good possibility for a trade here. Yeah, there's no way they're there's no way they're trading Horvat. Horvat doesn't want to go anywhere. Besser is out there because he's from the United States. He's got a contract coming up, and there's whispers that he wants to go back home. He doesn't want to sign long-term in Canada. Possibly Minnesota, because that's where he's from. But if Besser's out there and somebody thinks that they can sign him long term, it's probably going to be somebody from the team from the United States. I'm sure Boston would be in there. But what if the Islanders were to offer Beauvillier, Robin Salo, and a first or something like that? Do they have any first? Yeah. Beauvillier, Salo, and a first. Like, I think Beauvillier would be more enticing to them than, say, DeBrusk or something like that. Yeah, it would be a good fit. I just think that the offer, Studnik, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe Vancouver sees more in Studnik than I do. DeBrusk has been a flop, let's face it, so far. You know, he doesn't look like more than a 3-4 winger. What else? What was the other one? Moore is a throw-in, a cap, because he pretty much is injured all the time, just to make the cap work. And then out of that, you get a first and a second. Man, that's really crappy return for a guy like Besser. I mean, if there, I don't know, if there was an inclination that Besser was going to be wanting out, they probably should have traded him before he was in his final year. And now that's likely the deal you're going to get, or something like that. But I think you might be able to get maybe Beauvillier out of New York Islanders. You know, San Jose doesn't want to rebuild, so you might be able to get there first if they can work out a deal to re-sign him. You know, something like that. There's teams that are fairly desperate for offense out there that might be able to give you more than that, especially if they can re-sign him. As a rental, though, I don't know. That's going to be tough. You think the Islanders' problem is a long as hell road trip? I mean, it is a long road trip, but you got to think. I still got to go back. The thing that concerns me with the Islanders is one of their third last of the road trip, or fourth last, it might have been fourth, was in New Jersey. They only played one game that week. So basically they were home for a week and played one game. So, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely would think they were looking for Besser, but if I'm Vancouver, I'm hoping the hell I can get more than that for Besser. Well, I'm sure Detroit would. From all accounts I've heard, though, Horvat wants to stay in Vancouver. Full out wants to stay in Vancouver. So that's all the report. That's everything I've heard. But I have not heard the same from Besser. I've heard some rumblings about Besser. It may be just the contract, a contract thing. He may be asking for like 8 or 9 million or something like that. So that's going to have to come into consideration too. If you're going to trade Besser to Boston, their likelihood is they're not going to be able to re-sign him unless they do some fancy stuff there in Boston. It could be simply because he's asking for so much money. But I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of teams in the lineup trying to pick up Besser if he's available. Any team that thinks that they can win it now will probably be giving him a call to see what they can give up to get him. Look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. As long as they're doing a dollar for dollar deal, Tampa could probably do it, I would think. Maybe not. No, maybe not. No, maybe not. I could be wrong. It would have to be something like Chernak, something like that. But I'm sure they'd be on the phone, that's for sure. From what I've heard, Horvat loves it in Vancouver. A Chris Draper dollar? Anyways, that's an interesting deal. Like I said, I think that if they were doing something like that, man, there's got to be more than that. You got to get some people. Like if Besser, if he's in there, Toronto's probably not in there. I mean, the Philadelphia Flyers would probably be willing to talk. New York Islanders, if he's wanting to go back east, if that's what would be. Minnesota may be calling because he's a Minnesota boy. Colorado. There's lots of teams that I think would be lining up for his. But again, it's how much does he want in his next contract? There's questions we don't have answers for there. And I think if they were thinking about trading him, it would be because he didn't want to stay in Canada. I think that's first. If he wanted to be in Vancouver, they would sign him, I'm sure. And they would trade either JT Miller or whatever to make the room for it. But if he's giving an indication that Vancouver is not where he wants to live or whatever, I'm sure they would be hoping they would get a heck of a lot more than that for him. What's he got? He's already up 5'8", so he's going to need a qualifying offer of what, like 6.5 or 7 right off the get-go. And So they have his rights right now. They can give him a qualifying offer and keep him for one more year. If they want, they can do that. Long term, he's probably going to be looking for $8 million. And what do we got? You said Horvat's up in 2 more years? He's 26, so he's going to be a free agent there. They got to re-sign him right away. If they don't re-sign him, yeah, I could definitely see him going to Detroit or something like that for sure. Oh, and they need Pettersson signed up too. So, yeah, they got a lot of hoops to jump through there in Vancouver. DeBrusque, Carlo, Hall. Well, Hall is from... Did Hall not put a no-trade clause in his contract? I like the Carlo acquisition. I like that. That's something Vancouver definitely needs, no doubt about that, as a player like that. Carlo, Hall, and what am I doing? They're not. I don't think they'll lose all of them to cap space, but Hall is making $6 million. See that? Yeah, I mean, he's capped at $6 million for the next couple years, and then Carlo is making what, $4 million? And then DeBrusque, they're taking back more salary than they're giving in that deal. But it's more pieces, so Carlo's a righty. Makes more sense. I would say it makes more sense than the first one. You could 3-way trade it or something like that as well. I definitely like Carlo. Yeah, I mean, it gives him a lot of depth at forward. Yeah, I don't think they're going to lose all of them, but I think from what I'm hearing, Besser seems to be gone, and I think he seems to know it because he's not having a great year. Peterson's not having a great year. It's a mess. And I imagine Green will get fired somewhere down the road here, but yeah, that makes more sense. I mean, man, Hall's not having a great year. I don't think that roster would be... I'm thinking of, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do in Vancouver. He just totally messed up that whole team. Benning just screwed that right up. Now you got Hall, looks like he's floating around all over the place. Carlo, who's a good 4-5, I suppose. And DeBrusque, what the hell is he? You're just throwing darts at a board hoping that something happens. You could be trading one guy that you can't afford for 2 guys that are overpaid and one guy and a good defenseman, which you need. So you're just adding more salary problems to your salary problems by trading a salary problem that should be signed. But, yeah, weird situation. How would Hall do in Vancouver? If his start in Boston is any indication, I would say not very good. If he could pass like he can pass and play like he did in New Jersey, it'd be great because he could feed Peterson all day long, right? But I just don't see it with him now. To me, he looks like he's packed it in. He's made like not totally packed it in, but he's decided he's going to be slightly above average for the rest of his career. That's what it looks like to me. He's just said he's took a big deep breath. I got the contract for a long time. I got in Boston. I'm in Boston. I've got a no trade list, so I'll be good. I'm going to be good. I'm good. I don't have a sense of urgency anymore. I'm just going to do as good as I possibly can without really being too urgent about anything. That's what he looks like to me. There's no urgency in Hall's game now. It doesn't seem like there's any urgency in Hall's game now. He cherry picks really well, though. He cherry picks out and is able to get behind the defense well for long passes. He does that pretty well. Does Vancouver need more of that? I don't know. Difficult situation there in Vancouver. No, he's not the same. He's not. I really thought maybe he would mature in Boston and come out and play like great hockey, like he did in New Jersey, but no, I'm not seeing that at all. Well, I'd say right now Skinner is actually playing them better than Hall. I mean, I don't even know what his points are. I don't quite often I don't look at points that players get. I look at what I see on the ice. I see a guy who has turned into a floater. So, what does he have on? What does he have for points? He's got 9 points in 15 games. Like I said, slightly above average player. Now, that being said, he doesn't have the greatest center to play with, and Nick Foligno isn't helping the case there much. There's not much depth in that. He's one of the few depth guys they have. So maybe I'm being a little too harsh on him. When you don't have a center to play with, it's pretty tough. Yeah, he's had his games still where he doesn't look worth a crap. Skinner still has his terrible games for sure. Yeah, I'd seen like 2 or 3 of them where the old Skinner came back this year. Cost the Sabres a possible win, yeah. Yeah, that's the old Skinner. He costs a lot of wins, that's for sure. Yeah, the Rangers potted one with 0.4 seconds left. Just that was unbelievable. I had the Rangers in reg too. I was on a high. I was like, woo! I couldn't believe it. I thought that was I thought that was done. I thought that was done. But and that's the thing. Buffalo's still learning. They got a young team. They're still learning how to be a great team. They're playing with an effort that is commendable for what the team that they have. They don't give up. That one hurts, but overall, I thought they played pretty well that game. But What was that game again? Was that on Saturday or is that Sunday? That was Sunday, right? Yeah, 5-4 Rangers. Yeah, the Rangers outshot them 36-22. It's weird with the Sabres. They get outshot, but they seem like they're more in it than it looks. I don't know what it is. Yeah, Kraken beat the Caps. It goes to show you that Seattle-Washington game, how it goes to show you how hard it is to do that Western road trip. Like, Capitals were out of gas that game, totally. And there was a couple things in that game that I found very interesting. Laviolette scratched 2 players. And Washington has been a team that has not been known for their discipline on the road, say it that way. And he scratched Connor Sheary and TJ Oshie. TJ Oshie was healthy. So I'll get to that. But I have a feeling they did something on the road. Laffy is putting his foot down at this team. He's taking away all this partying on the road nonsense and stuff like that. He wants his team to win and win now, and I think he's putting his foot down with that team. However, they were burnt out again with the Kraken there. Kraken just outskated them all over the place. Oh, she had personal reasons? Okay. God, your Wild need a good starting goaltender. What Seattle makes, I've said before, I mean, it could be any other veterans. For it's like Eberle, I guess it won't be Giordano because they made him captain. That would be weird if they actually did trade him. But like Donskoy, Yanni Gord, Eberle, not Jaden Swartz, Jared McCann, Ryan Donato, like all of those guys, I'm pretty sure will be up there. Dunn, Hayden, Fleury, Susie. I mean, there'll be a price on them. If they don't get the price, they'll stay. If they do, they'll be gone. I have a feeling. Who is that got 22 shutouts in 44 games? That had to be an old guy. You do need a starting goaltender in Minnesota. I thought Talbot would be able to hold up, but he's not holding up. And Kakinen is worse. So problem is, I'm not sure you're going to get one. I think they're going to hold up for that Swedish kid that they drafted. I think they're going to hold out for that Swedish kid that they drafted because they don't want to pay any more in goaltending unless George Hainsworth. Yeah, that's right. Old guy. I should have known that. No, there's no way that's going to happen. It was a lot harder to score goals in that generation because their sticks were like, it was choppy ice and, they didn't raise the puck very much. They just basically just shot it along the ice most of the time. And goaltenders, even though they didn't have much equipment, had a pretty easy time stopping them. So, yeah, Wallstedt. That's the guy I was talking about, Wallstedt. They're probably going to wait for Wallstedt. Wonder how is Wallstedt doing right now? That's an interesting thing. I haven't looked at that. It's the only prospect that they have as a goaltender in cap friendly. 188 and a .917. .917, I don't know. But 14 games, he has a 1.88 and a 0.97. Apparently, the reason why he fell was he's got attitude issues, or perceived attitude issues, anyways. Knight, what about, I don't know, watch out for that kid that Detroit drafted, Casa, last year. Kasha. That apparently, we're talking about some pretty smart minds there in Detroit, and they passed up on Wallstedt for Casa. Sandpaper and a goaltender. Yeah, the attitude was not necessarily sandpaper as much as very arrogant kid and kind of maybe gets offended easy, stuff like that. But I mean, I shouldn't even be saying that because I don't know any of that for a fact. That's just heard it through the grapevine. He's really tall, he's really big, and he's got crazy reflexes. He's very spry. He needs to work on being more square to the puck and stuff like that. But his tools are insane. Suter Parise kind. What's that? He's tall and he's big. Let's look. Well, let's see how Costa's doing. What the heck? How's Costa? He's in college, right? Is he on that Detroit team too? That's stacked, like one of the most stacked college guys, college rosters ever. Sebastian Costa. No, he's Canadian. Is he in junior? I thought he was going to college. No, Oil King. Sorry. So far this year, he's got a 2.14 and a .929. Last year, he had a 1.57 and a .941. Wow, crazy. Well, I'm not going to say they're not going to trade Grubauer, but I don't think they signed him for the purpose of trading him. The swinging butterfly style? The swimming butterfly style. It depends on how much it's. I think for butterfly style, it really depends on the appropriate amount of aggressiveness. That's really what for butterfly. I'm not going to speak into goaltending really. I only know if a guy looks like he can stop pucks or not. To tell you the honest truth, I'm not an expert in goaltending, so. Some great butterfly goaltenders in the years, that's for sure. Yeah. The cup will come eventually. I think the whole plan was always to bring Stevie back from Tampa. The idea was that he was going to get they sent him off somewhere else to practice and then come back and, wasn't the time with Kenny Holland. I don't know why, but they wanted him to they'd rather him get experience as a general manager somewhere else and come back. And then he goes and does what he does in Tampa. The guy's insane. Yeah, 5 hole is the funniest thing, isn't it? When I played, I never went 5 hole. I thought it was so weird. If I scored 5 hole, it was just because I shot to get it on net and it happened to go over the stick like that. But you would think that would be what would happen the least amount, but it's also the play that players try the most. Like I used to hardly ever try to go 5 hole. Really good guys get the move into the side and then they slip it into the 5 hole, which I can make sense from there. Sense with that. Stick side, top glove side, yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, he's a fantastic general manager. Yeah, well, yeah, if you're in close, sometimes that's all you have, right? You just got to hope that a goaltender isn't realizing that that's all you have. With the most part, if that is all I have, I try to get it out, not in. When I was playing and I only had 5 hole, I was looking for a deke or a pass, something like that, because I don't know. I found 5 hole didn't work that well. Then again, I didn't have the greatest shot in the world either, so it wasn't my best part of my game. I might have something to do with it. Have we been an hour yet? We haven't even talked about it. There were so many games, I don't even know which ones to talk about. So you guys tell me if you want to talk about any of the games from yesterday or the day before. The Blackhawks Canucks, did you watch that? Oh my gosh. Could you see a Canucks, like, yeah, okay, Fleury played well, no doubt about it. But that Canucks team has no confidence whatsoever. It's just none. They look like they're not going to score before they even touch the puck. The best part of your game was winning faceoffs, really? Oh, that's pretty cool. I never played center, so I don't know. You took Brian Lawton over Eisenman. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hey, Jennifer, how you doing? Woo! Thanks for coming in. You like Jets, Ducks, Jackets, and Avalanche? Pretty fadey on the Blue Jackets game. I haven't really thought. It's probably would go the Jackets there because of Tokarski in net for Buffalo, but Buffalo's a pretty resilient team. Carolina, Ducks, yeah. Jets. Who are they playing against? Again, is that, who did you say? Is that against the Blues? Are you taking the Jets against the Blues? Corpusalo's in, that's right. Yeah. No, against Pittsburgh. Oh. I don't know. Something scares me about Pittsburgh right now. They look like they're getting back their mojo. I think I'm kind of fadey on that. Ducks versus, yeah, I like Ducks, yeah. Corpusalo's in, that's right. Yeah, I think that's a coin flip. You got two bad goaltenders. Buffalo's at home. I think they're on a back-to-back, though. Isn't Columbus on a back-to-back? Didn't they play Vegas last night, or was that the night before? Wild Lightning. Oh no, it was the night before. Okay, so they're not on a back-to-back. And the Sabres played the Rangers yesterday. Yeah. Since the Sabres are on a back-to-back, maybe that's a good one, yeah. But Korpisalo being in net doesn't make me warm and fuzzy on the inside. So. They're getting guys back from injury, and yeah, the guys are like Crosby and guys like that, getting back to their normal self. Columbus Blue Jackets, Ducks. You think the Ducks will be a tie with Carolina, with the Preds? Oh yeah, I could see that because Saros is in net, but Saros hasn't played as well lately. Gibson is on fire, and the Ducks are shooting like crazy. Yeah, but I get it because no, I get it. I get why you go a tie there for sure. It's a good call if you nail it. I got the Detroit tie with Arizona, actually. Carolina, Jets, Avs, Vegas. Yeah, how's Vegas doing it, by the way? I don't like that game either. That's St. Louis, right? I think the Blues will win that. Vegas can't keep winning with that freaking dilapidated lineup over and over and over again. Blues have got everybody back now. They're stacked. Vegas just lost Theodore too off that lineup. But the thing about them is they're still fast all through the lineup. Lots of speed. PL? Okay, that makes sense. I did. I saw Calgary on that one. Calgary right now is playing the most aggressive team game in the league besides maybe Carolina. Carolina can play it more ways than Calgary can at the moment, but I would say Calgary's probably the second best team in the league right now. They are insane. Markstrom is playing crazy good. Everybody's walking on the same line there in Calgary, and they're playing tough. Florida, maybe, yeah. Yeah, Florida, Calgary, Carolina. No, Ottawa's not fully healthy. Yeah, well, Carolina is the most meticulous mechanically. They everything is done like a well-oiled machine in Carolina. It is incredible to watch. Yeah, best Canadian team. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Although there's not. That sucks to say, but yeah, Edmonton's defense is too poor. Toronto is coming around, but I still couldn't put them ahead of Calgary. I would put right now in the playoffs for Canadian teams. If I had to choose a team to go with, it would be Calgary. And I never thought I would say that before the season started. Oh, Peyton on the radio and we would laugh and laugh and laugh about how bad Calgary's going to be and blah, 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 blah. And I was so wrong. Sutter is a freaking genius. Yeah, they did play each other. I think the Flames won that game. I can't remember now. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, tomorrow. They play tomorrow. No, I can't find it at the moment. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they played one time. I thought maybe Calgary lost that 2-1. It was a back-to-back. They were tired. all that stuff. But they've been winning games like that too, and that's a sign of a great team when you're winning games like that. Can Calgary beat the Jets or can the Oilers beat the Jets? I don't know what the Oilers will do in the playoffs. They are the biggest X factor team to me. Best offense, worst defense. Yeah, Sens, Nucks, and Habs not so much is right. Were you asking if the Oilers can? Right now, I'd say no. Calgary? I think they can, yeah. I think it would be a good series, a killer series to watch, though. The Jets still have some things to figure out there. They're above average. The Oilers, I would say, above average too. I guess I have a hard time. The Oilers are the biggest X factor team in the league. If their defense can hold up a little bit, they can win any game. But it happens it so often doesn't work that way that very difficult to put what they are. Really, it's weird. They're a weird team. It's the best way I can put it. They're a weird team. One Adam. Calgary versus Winnipeg. Yeah. I think Calgary wins that as of right now. I mean, it's hard to go against Calgary's flow right now. Well, they did against Edmonton and then not so much. Again, well, of course, that whole Scheifele incident happened last year too, right? So it's hard to say, but yeah, they've got a team more driven towards the playoffs for sure. But I would say Calgary's team is pretty playoff worthy as well. So I think it would be a hell of a series. It'd be a fun series to watch. Yeah, there were a lot. McDavid and Draisaitl. Draisaitl is crazy right now too. So you rate them on their 3-3. Well, that's the thing. I mean, the Oilers will win against anybody in the playoffs if they're taking penalties all day, but penalties aren't called as much in the playoffs. I just don't see that goaltending and defense being able to win in the playoffs. I just don't see it. And McDavid and Draisaitl aren't going to outscore Florida's and Carolinas and teams like this. No. Yeah, I don't think the teams will ever shut them down, but if you can keep them to like maybe a goal each or something like that, you should be able to get more than 2 goals based on their goaltending and defense. So it's pretty much what you got to do there. You're probably not going to shut out the Edmonton Oilers. So. Well, and that's what Tortorella was saying where he had to change his game, which is what I wanted to bring around to the topic I did before. What did Tortorella mean by what he said? He said that he's got to change his game. There's a reason for that because it's quite obvious that McDavid is not getting calls that normal players would get. It's almost like the league has realized that it's almost not fair, his talent level. So he's passing off to Draisaitl an awful lot. And Draisaitl's getting most of the points. But when it comes to the playoffs, he can't be bitching and complaining, even though it does suck that the league is doing what they're doing. Because they are. He's not getting calls he should get. But he's sort of like when Gretzky was playing. They changed rules because of Gretzky and the Oilers at that time. The red line rule and all that stuff like that. Because they were so good, they literally thought, I think they actually think that McDavid can tip the scales so much that it's not fair. Even though it's totally fair because he's what he is. He's the greatest. It's totally fair, and you just got to live with it, that McDavid is going to have his team win most nights just because of him if you actually call the penalties. And the other team's going to be on the penalty kill a lot because of him. But bring in hockey guy. Yeah, I wonder what Shannon would do at the Vancouver Canucks. That'd be pretty interesting. Could you see Shannon sitting up there, in the press interview, and he's got his little chalkboard out. He's telling everybody his salary cap plan and everything. I think Shannon would do a hell of a lot better job than Benning for sure. Yeah, I think Shannon would do. I think Shannon would do well. Period. Not just instead of Benning. I think Shannon would be an excellent candidate to be a general manager in the league. Maybe. No, I haven't, but I don't. Yeah, I haven't. I probably would if they would actually call the game like it's supposed to when he's on the ice. Right now, I think Draisaitl is more Draisaitl's getting the benefit of people taking of the how do I explain it? Of how it seems like the league is trying to limit McDavid because they just think he's so good it's going to make it stupid, especially with both of them. But he's so smart, he's just passing it off to Dre. And they can't do both. They can't seem to get both. And not only that, Draisaitl plays the game more like what Tortorella is talking about. He fights through checks more. He has a game that's more bullish than McDavid does. Oh, thank you, Hajin. Thank you, Hajin. I won't go belabor because I think I pissed off a few people. Now, Hajin, can you explain to me why there's not anything talked about that in the news today? You cannot, the only thing, if you look at any NHL highlights, you only see the one bad call on Lemieux when he was on a semi-power play. But the diving and all of that other stuff, nothing. And you hear nothing about it today. Can you tell me why that is? I'm telling you, that game was fixed by the officiating to give the Coyotes a chance to win. And I think I had my theories beside it. Go watch my video if you want to watch it. I don't want to talk about it too much here because I talked about it a lot already. Check out the video I just did on it. And it talks a lot about my theory. I don't know if it's right, but it's a theory. Yeah, you know what? It is a hockey show, and that is noteworthy enough that you definitely, that was incredible. That kid, lost his mind. And he's probably going to get a game suspension, stuff like that. LeBron didn't mean to do that at all. I don't believe. No, not at all. He's not dirty like that. It was a mistake. But I think the Pistons are like 4-14 or something like that. And the kid's got like a lot of compete in him. And I think the losing and everything just kind of overflowed. Maybe he had some personal stuff too. And the pain of getting an elbow in the freaking eye, the fear of it, that all of that combined, I think I kind of feel for the kid. If he was in hockey, it wouldn't even have been a thing. He would have got a 5-gamer. He would have got a 10, sent him off, maybe 10 minutes and a fine or something like that. But he's probably going to get a game because it's basketball. But he was bowling over people. What's this? In basketball, I'm going to bring this back to hockey. You got all these guys coming on the freaking, what are you doing? All these suits coming on trying to stop these 6'7" guys. What are you doing? Get back on the freaking side courts. Let the guys do what they're going to do. What are you going to do? Hey, guys, stop now. Hey. Just getting bowled over like crazy. See, Hajin, you know it. Hajin knows it. Unfortunately, you're a Kings fan, so it makes it less impressive. I forgot about that. You're a Kings fan, but that was fixed, no doubt about it. Yeah, Lemieux is playing great, and he's finally getting his opportunity. I've been talking about Lemieux for a long time. When he was at the Rangers, I'm like, what's going on with this guy? Why is he not getting... Maybe it was conditioning, I thought. But I think it's because of his mouth. But did you notice yesterday in that game that the players and the coach almost seemed like they already knew it was going to happen? LA was playing like they were walking on eggshells right from the beginning of that game. They were purposely trying to make sure they weren't going to get penalties. Now, you're going to do that anyways because you know with a poor team like that, one way you're going to lose to them is give them a power play. But they were doing it to an extent that was ridiculous. St. Louis did the same thing. They played just like that. I get a feeling that they know that there's a league mandate to get the Coyotes some wins because not because they're going to lose a team. I think it's because of their gambling sponsors. But that's my theory. I'm going to shut up about it. Go watch the video. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, those kind of penalties, Lauren, I can deal with. That kind of stuff, maybe a mistake or whatever. But what happened in LA last night, that was ridiculous. Ridiculous. The dive in the third period, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Yeah, well, the Arizona Coyotes were handed a game last night. But that being said, like what was it about Keenan Draper I heard? I don't know. I never heard about that. I haven't even checked any new news stuff that's come up yet today. Draper is going to play for Michigan University Hockey. Oh, Seth Jarvis. Let's talk about some other stuff here now. Seth Jarvis is going to burn his first year. They're going to play him all the way through. You can't send the kid down. He's playing too good. So he's going to burn his first year of his ELC, which is not really news, but good for him. He deserves it. Kevin Hayes is out week to week again. My gosh. Yeah, I can see the Canes game. The Canes just know how to hold on. Buffalo has that too right now. They're learning that, but the Canes are like spectacular at it. The Anaheim Ducks, yeah, I think they win tonight too, and that team is playing with an energy that is just unbelievable. The confidence in that team right now is through the roof. Maybe one of the most confident teams in the league, certainly maybe in the West for sure. Can't score in front of Quick, can't defend in front of Peterson. Yeah. Bill, how you doing, buddy? We were talking just a little bit earlier, Bill, about Besser going to Boston. Somebody, whoever posted that trade up that you said that Hot Take Hockey posted. Yeah, that's what the Canes do, especially when they're tired. They play a certain way depending on the situation. They can play a trap when they're tired. They can play aggressive and outscore you when their legs are going and all kinds of stuff. Like they're probably the most multifaceted team in the league, which is why I think I'm still leaning towards them for a cup this year. You don't want Brock Besser in Boston. Look at this. Doesn't want Brock Besser. What do you not like about Brock Besser, Bill? Dustin Brown looks like it's starting to feel, the wheels are starting to fall off again. Had good 2 years, but I don't know if he's fighting some stuff or something, banged up or whatever, and he's fighting it or whatever. I don't know. He's not playing. He's not doing all that well. Yeah, I didn't even notice him last night at all. I didn't even notice Dustin Brown at all last night. Yeah. You don't think he'll be a great fit there? Well, we had a deal. We had 2 deals. I'll try to remember it. I can't remember who was in here saying it. Was it Mercer that did the deal? We had one from Hot Take Hockey, and then we did our own. What was it? I don't know. I think he could be a 40-goal scorer if he got on the right team. What was it? It was Hall, Carlo, Carlos something else, and first and second round pick or something like that was one. The other one was DeBrusque. I didn't think it was going to work. It was DeBrusque. What else was there? Studnicka, Moore, which was just a throw-in, and a first and second round pick. No, Aho is one of the best, probably the most underrated player in the game right now. Aho will have a Selke at least in his future for sure. Now that Barkov is out, maybe he gets it this year. I haven't really looked at the Selke candidates this year, but I would have to imagine Aho's right up there. Kopitar maybe again because he's getting points again. In a year when Danault is doing the dirty work, they'll probably give it to Kopitar. When Danault's doing most of the dirty work. Do you think Hall's really doing that great there in Boston? Carlo would be a tough pill to swallow. But, I mean, you got to remember, Besser already. Okay, let's look at Besser here. You would have to re-sign him, too. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't do this without re-signing him. Besser is from Minnesota. He already has a 26 goal season and a 23 goal season, around 50 points in 56 games. So at this point, he's about a 70-point guy. Though both of those 23 almost on a 40-goal pace. This is a potential 40-goal scorer we're talking about here. Yeah, he needs more skilled line mates, I agree. How did he score 30 goals? He had better legs before. He had some injuries. That's the reason why they traded him. Same reason why they traded Ellis to Philadelphia. And it turns out that they might have been right about that. However, Myers has been a healthy scratch the last 2 games. So, yeah, I just don't see Hall playing with that intensity that he needs to really play with. I know he doesn't have the center, but he's got to get his intensity up. He's floating around too much out there. He's Stonehenge. You got to remember when he scored 30 goals, just trying to remember who they was playing with. He got most of his goals through his speed, and because of injuries, he's lost a bit of it. He's probably not much more than a 40-point player now. Hall could use a player like Krejci, all right. They worked well together. Yeah, he just doesn't have that intensity, and that might be because he's not playing with that center. Like, he would be great with a guy like Sam Bennett or Reinhart, guys that are first shot centers that he can pass to. That's why there was thought that he might go to Calgary, because they thought maybe he might be able to get Monahan going. I don't know how Boston's going to get that second line center, but you're right. We talk about a guy like Besser coming into Boston, but really when it comes right down to it, it's probably more, they're more looking for a second line. They're still looking for a second line center. I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on with Velarde. I don't know what they're doing with that guy. I usually, I got to give the Kings the benefit of the doubt because they've been really good with prospects and developing players and stuff like that. But to me, it seems like they dropped the ball with that guy. Velarde just seems like they dropped the ball with him. Why they're so adamant he has to be a center, I'll never know. I don't know. He looked great on the wing, and then they kept on putting him in center, and then they put him down in the minors. Like, they're finally trying to make him a winger, yeah. Is that what they're doing? They're putting him in the Y minors and telling him to play wing and get your confidence back up or something? Because there was a time when they played him on the wing, and he looked confident as heck. He was a net driver going like, I loved him. And I kept on touting him up, and then they kept on putting him in the middle, and he just looked horrible there. How are you going to trade the bottom of your roster for a 2-line center? You're going to have to give a first-round pick. You'll have to give a first-round pick. Nobody's going to take a bottom. That's what you must mean, Bill. I'm assuming you must mean that they're going to give up a prospect in like DeBrusque or something like that. Yeah, like I said, I far be it for me to say too much about LA with their prospects. I'm not in the room because they've been, you know, historically very, very good at prospect development. So I imagine they know what they're doing. I just seems odd to me. What would you mean by that, Bill? Like, uh, first of all, you'd have to identify what's the center that you're going to be able to get out there. Well, I think that with the Islanders, the one weakness that they have, which is actually a pretty big one, when they had this road trip really started to come out, and that's that they don't have very good depth players in the roster. So they don't have very good guys that can jump in, and they end up overpaying playing their vets. If you notice, like the last 2-3 years, the Islanders would always fade off at the end. This year, you had a short off season, and it looks like it's really starting to hurt them with this road trip now. It's really wearing them down. This might be the year that, I don't know, we'll see. It's the Islanders. It's Barry Trotz. That's what everybody's saying. I think we're all saying that every game. Wait a sec, these are the Islanders. They'll come back and they'll do this and they'll do that, but it's frustrating how Philly is treating these injuries. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, the Coyotes under. Ugh. They got that game handed to them last night, Devondra, for sure. Uh, the Jackets probably. I don't know. Once they put Korpisalo in, I'm probably off that as far as the side is concerned. I don't know. Korpisalo is so unpredictable. Tokarski. The Buffalo Sabres are a team that just are resilient and don't give up. I mean, on paper, the Columbus should win that for sure. Yeah, I think that they would have to trade a Marchand. And if they traded a Marchand, then I don't know what's Bergeron going to do. This is the time right now. I know it's tough. This off season with Marchand, it's the time. If you're going to do it now. You could actually retool now trading a guy like Marchand because the return would fill out that roster where they could actually be good enough to be okay. But if they wait much longer, the Marchand return isn't going to be there as much either. And everybody's just going to be older. And it's just, I don't know. To me, it's right now. Right in this offseason. Marchand somewhere. Imagine Marchand going somewhere. What's his contract? And the hard part about trading Marchand is I think he's got a really pretty contract, doesn't he? Yeah, $6 million for another couple years. It's like dirt. That's like cheap as chips right there. But you could get max return for that. Get a bunch of young, now ready players and keep on rolling and probably maybe even be better than you already are. Marchand's from Montreal, right? So he's from Canada. Maybe that Besser deal. Besser plus. Besser and a whole bunch of other players coming back or something like that. I mean, it would have to be pretty fantastic. I don't think Vancouver, that would make sense, but I don't know. Vancouver does things that don't make sense all the time, so I don't know. Could do it. Well, I guess they had so many teams were iffy about the injury thing, so they kind of had everybody hanging over their head. And because it was Vegas going after him, I think there was this feeling out there that they were not going to get outbid no matter what they did. That's the other thing that happens too. You got a team like Vegas that's desperate like that, and whatever you add to it, they're just going to up it, up it, up it, up it, up it, up it. Like once a team gets on a guy, and that's what they're going to do, and we're in win now mode and all of those things, teams are like, screw it, they're just going to outbid us anyways. Or they're going to leave us hanging with the bid that we don't want to give. So Smith, Stevenson, Hag for Marchand. That's not enough. Smith is a free agent at the end of the year. They already had Smith. So, but yeah, I don't think that's enough. Justin Holt to the Arizona Coyotes. Yeah, I guess it could happen, I suppose. Let's see. Well, it would have to be in the off season, I think. I don't think you could do a deal like that now. But what about? Do you want to go to the East? They probably start out looking at Western teams. But I think a team like the Rangers might pony up. Ethan Bear out with COVID now? Shoot. Is that right? That doesn't bode well for tonight. D'Angelo goes up there with Slavin. I like that anyways. The bad part is Smith comes in now. But the top four is Slavin, D'Angelo, Shea, and Pesce. Does it really matter that you have Cole and Smith, really? Oh, they'll figure it out. Like I said, all of these guys that they have on, that's the reason why they have everybody on COVID and injuries, and they're not bringing them back fast. It's just building more and more cap space. So by the time Eichel comes back, they're going to have all the cap space they need. But they're just not a good team, Bill, Montreal, after losing all those guys. No, Habs won't make the playoffs. But we were calling that before. Hey, Evan, welcome to the live. Woo. What, Smith? Smith from Vegas. There's a whole, and I don't think Bergevin's going to be back next year by the sounds of it either. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to grab some water. There we go. Ducharme, I don't know. If there's one franchise, I can't tell you what they're going to do. I never saw Anderson going there. I never saw like a lot of the moves they made. Toffoli. If there's one franchise that I really have no idea what they're going to do, it's Montreal. I have no idea. The Habs may finish last in the league. That would be amazing. It would be absolutely incredible if Arizona, with that roster, doesn't finish last in the league. You don't think they're going to make the playoffs, the Toronto Maple Leafs? I think they will now. They're going to be able to beat up on a lot of teams. They're going to have a tough go against Carolinas, Floridas, Tampa Bay at times, stuff like that. They'll have a tough go against teams like that. But the bottom feeders won't be able to do much with them. So I think they'll make the playoffs. Besser, Hoglander. Now, Ekman Larson wanted to go to Boston. I just don't know if Boston will. Marchand. What about Marchand in Vancouver? I wouldn't doubt they make that deal. And that as long as Besser is able to re-sign, it's good for Boston. Man, it's hard to lose Hoglander, but I think if you had Marchand and Pettersson together, that would be a 1-2 punch that maybe Marchand could help Pettersson get his career back on track. So that does make some sense. And Besser, his value isn't that high right now because it seems like he's not going to resign, or they won't want to resign with him. And Boston gets some good young players to rebuild around. I'm not sure about Ekman Larson if I want to do that deal, if I want to bring Ekman Larson with it. But Vancouver may have to give up an Ekman Larson in that deal. No, they wouldn't be able to take Ekman Larson because they gotta have to pay Besser. And with their cap space, I don't think they could handle that much for Larson there. But it's a good idea, something like that. You were aggravated by that choke last night? Tampa what? Are we still talking hockey? What choke are you talking about? No, for diehards like us, Evan, it's definitely this season does matter a lot right now. Tyler Myers to the Washington Capitals because they like big players. It'd have to be a dollar for dollar deal, I guess. I don't know. If they can find a way to pawn off Myers to Washington, then they can actually get something in return, I would probably do it. Oh, yes, right. Tampa. It's Elliott. Now I remember what you're talking about. Elliott's terrible. And Tampa Bay plays poorly in front of bad goaltending. Elliott and what's his name, McElhinney, they always play terrible in front of them. It was almost like you knew they were going to come back. When Tampa was up 4-2, I was watching that game and I was like, Minnie's going to come back here, I'm pretty sure. And when they had a minute left, when Tampa has a poor goaltender in net, they get all shaky with their stick and they stop taking time to know what they're going to do. They get too ahead of themselves. And they start just trying to throw it out any way they can and becoming, what's the word I'm looking for? Reactionary instead of like taking their time and doing what they normally do, playing the puck well out of the zone, taking a minute, look where they're got to put their puck, look where the other men on the ice are, stuff like that. They just get excited. They start getting anxious. They just want to get it out because they don't trust Elliott there. They're so used to having Vasilevsky back there. When they have him, it's like, okay, I can calm down now because if I do make a mistake, Vasi's there. But when they have Elliott, they look like pee-wee kids trying to get the puck out on the penalty kill. Just calm down. If Vasilevsky ever got injured, they would be in trouble. Because Look what Elliott did on that goal. Like, I know goaltending is a tough position, but it is the position that you have to play. And he stopped it, and then he was reaching forward to try, and in doing so, he had his leg up off the break. Like, if that's Vasilevsky, he's down on his back right away, doing the scissors with his pads and covering it up already, not trying to stay up so your leg's up off the ground where it can go underneath like that. So he's not a great goaltender. Vasilevsky is the best goaltender. Yeah. I bet you did enjoy that game. I, however, did not enjoy that game. Jones is being Jones. Who'd have thought? He had 2 good games, and then Jones goes back to being Jones again. Scary thought. Good thing Carter Hart is out of it now. They got a chance, but I think Philly is going to bubble it. Philly looks like a bubble team. They grabbed all the Ellis and everybody, and they're a bubble team. Now what? Now you're back to being getting a middle pick, adding a middle player to a middle team, and just consistently being a bubble team. Make the playoffs, first round out, over, repeat. You can lose 10 games in a row, make the playoffs, yeah. It's tough, but you can do it, for sure. Depending on what division you're in, maybe. I think if you were in if you're in the East Division or the Metro, it's going to be pretty tough if you lose 10 in a row. That's what you're saying? Okay, Evan. Well, I see what you mean, because the season doesn't matter right now in a sense that even if you're out of it, you're still in it because you can go on a run because there's a lot of games left. I see what you mean. Yeah, with the regular season in hockey, it's all about what teams are going to do to prepare themselves for the next couple of games. That's why we talk about trades so much in hockey, because it's the first 20 games or so is just establishing where your holes are in your lineup, and then it's all about how you're going to fill it. So it's all like a process. It's almost like a drama playing in front of you. The Blues a few years ago, yeah. That's not common, though. What the Blues did was not a common thing that happened. So I think the Bruins are weird, eh? They got like 1 minute, one game against like Philly, they look like lights out. If they can skate, if they go like Philly's speed is really what's hurting them right now, I think. If you got a few really speedy guys, Philadelphia is having trouble with it. Marchands and Pasternaks and guys like that can skate. And like with Toronto skated circles around them. That's really, I think, their biggest problem right now. Yeah, trade. People that love the NHL generally love it because there's so many trades. It's not like, it doesn't seem like in NFL football you get like the trades you do in hockey, maybe basketball, but I don't even know about, yeah, basketball more so, right? But it's different because you have a different cap and different, all that kind of stuff like that. Baseball too, They got some cool trades in baseball, though, especially when you're talking about pitchers and stuff like that. You can change your team pretty quick in baseball. A lot of teams, especially now, because the parity in the league is so much now that it is a bugger just to make the playoffs now. It's really tough to make the playoffs now. So by the time you make it, then you go through the playoffs, man. You know, we should have. I should have saw it coming with the Islanders as a possibility to fall off this year with the shortened season. But I thought Tampa Bay might be that team, but they don't look like they are. And that's another thing with Montreal, too. They have that aspect, too, where they had the shortened season. McAvoy was pissed off. Farabee? Oh, okay. They were talking about Farabee. In the NFL, if you see a prop that's good for fans' entertainment. Oh, yeah? Yeah. It's hard to say that the Isles will miss the playoffs. It's hard to get it out of your mouth. But it certainly seems like it's a possibility right now, doesn't it? I won't say it until it happens. I like Projo's view of some of these things like that. Like when it comes to the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins, he always says, with those two teams, until I see it happen, I don't think it's going to happen. And that's a really good way of putting it, because like with the Pittsburgh Penguins, they always seem to get her done. Washington this year, by the way, and since we got Evan here, Washington this year is playing the best defense I maybe have ever seen them play consistently. Barring last night, they were totally pooched. Super long road trip, and they were totally pooched. But that I don't hear too many people talking about how good Washington is defensively this year. Pretty unbelievable. And if you look at their roster, they don't look like they should be good defensively, but they are playing excellent. Yeah, that's a brutal road trip. You go Anaheim. What is it? Anaheim, LA, Anaheim, San Jose, Seattle back to back. That's brutal. Brutal road trip. Yeah, Caps defense, one of the best in the league right now. Carolina is probably better. I don't know. I don't know what the actual stats are, but they got to be right up there. Samsonov is playing way better than I ever thought he could. Yeah, playing a team game. Laviolette. Lavi's knocking out of the park there with the Capitals. Yeah. Well, you know what? Washington usually does bad on the West Coast trips. But as I was saying before, we were talking about that game. Oshie, I guess, had personal reasons why he didn't play, I guess. I don't know. But I'm getting the impression that Laviolette is really putting an end to this partying on the road stuff that was apparently prevalent in there. I think he's just putting an end to it now. And that's why. Washington Capitals, you saw their playoff celebration. they're not adverse to a good time, but I think this year they're buckling it down. I think he has them all swinging on the same rope and going, you know what? We don't have Backlund. We don't have Backstrom. We don't have, all the talent that we had before. We got a couple young guys, and we're thinner than we were before. We got to take her seriously here if we're going to have another run, and people are buying into it. Yeah, since 2014. I think Jensen has played some of the best hockey of his career, but I agree. Even at that, I still think they're going to look to add another defenseman out there. And I don't know, their scoring depth shouldn't be as good as it is, but it's getting by, so I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Jensen's playing some of the best hockey I've seen him play all year, or in his career. Like, I watched Jensen play, and there's times where I'm like, oh, he's playing pretty good. And I didn't say that before. Every game took his nets off is a road game. They got cap issues too, though. It's going to be a little difficult for them to make trades, but what do we have more here? Do we have? Finally, are they? I'm gonna look at the starting goaltending again. Still not confirmed. Oh, Ranta's in tonight. Ranta versus Reimer tonight. Yeah, he said, Tuukka Rask said that he's willing to come back as a third defenseman if necessary. So, yeah, I don't know. Ovechkin likes to have a good time, that's for sure. But I think he's buckled it down this year. Wilson fighting less and skating more. Yeah, they need him on the ice this year. They need him on the ice. They can't have him in the box as much, for sure. I'll always love Wilson, though. I know people, a lot of people hate him. I love Wilson. I love guys like that. I have no problems. I mean, I didn't love like some of the hits he did, but when you're playing on a big like that and you play the line, you play on the line, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. And I'm trying to get one more playback. Wilson is a throwback, yeah. Yeah, if Wilson was in the 80s, man, oh man, just imagine the penalty minutes Wilson would have in the 80s. Back in those days when you would get like 300-400 penalty minutes a season. I think Wilson just gives it to whoever he gives it to. If you're in his way, you're in his way. Like what he did with Panarin. I mean, Panarin jumped on his back. And smaller players do stupid things on the ice and say stupid things. So you don't want to get Wilson to rabbit punch you when you're on the ground. Don't say stupid crap. Claude Lemieux, yeah. Oh, he pisses people off. They lick your face too. Yeah, that wasn't really old school. As much as I love Marchand, if he would have did that in the '80s, he would have been one hurting boy for a long time. He would have been one hurting dude. Maltby, there's a good one. Carey Price will be back before Christmas. Cool. Awesome. I'll be rooting for him. I'll be rooting for him. I'm rooting for all the guys that come back like that. By the way, lost in all of this stuff in Montreal is the fact that Drouin is having a great season, which is freaking awesome. But anyways, guys, I got to go. I already went longer than normal, but all right, that'll be my full 42. Go check out my video I did. Check out my video I did. I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about what I talked about in the video for sure. I really hope I am. But we'll see as the games go on here. But till next time, guys. Till tomorrow. Thanks for coming in. You guys are amazing. Lots of love to you. Okay, bye.